I'm Megan Klassen-Wiebe and I traveled to Nicaragua. I was on a food study tour, youth food study tour with the Canadian Food Grains Bank, and so we were spending time in Nicaragua looking at food security issues. Most Nicaraguans will eat primarily rice and beans. Almost every meal that I had while I was in Nicaragua had rice and beans and corn tortillas. And then sometimes you'd get some eggs on the side or maybe a little bit of chicken. And I really appreciated the hospitality that Nicaraguans show in giving up their places in their homes for us to sleep and sharing their food with us and just being very welcoming. I find it difficult to point out just one cause of hunger in this area. Often hunger is not caused by just one particular reason. In Nicaragua, part of the problem was the politics, but basically there were two political parties that are often fighting for power. And at one of the points in time when one of the parties gained power over the other party, they redistributed a whole bunch of land. And so people that were living on that land no longer had access to it. And in Nicaragua, if you have land, you can feed yourself. And if you don't have land, then it becomes a lot more difficult. I found it really hard to see the impacts of hunger on the people that I met. Because I was there for such a short period of time. The organizations that we were visiting with and that we worked with while we were in Nicaragua told us that oftentimes malnutrition affects infants the most, and so when people have babies, then those babies don't grow as well or as big as they should. And so sometimes that can be seen in children, and children can be a little bit smaller than they maybe should be at the age that they're at. There were several things that organizations were working with communities on to improve food access and nutrition. One of the things that they were doing in both of the communities that I visited was improving the number of varieties of foods that people would eat and grow. And the first community we visited was Santa Cruz No. 2, and they were working on growing different kinds of fruit trees as well as their regular crops of corn and beans. And so the woman that I stayed with, she was growing a huge variety of fruit trees in her yard. She had plantain and banana, she had lemons and mangoes and pineapples and papaya, and just like all of those exciting fruits that you buy in the supermarket that you can't find growing on trees here. She was growing those in her yard, and she had been given those seedlings by the organization SEPAD that we were working with. And so she was growing them and learning how to grow them properly, and she was going to be teaching other people in her community how to grow them and then sharing seeds and cuttings from those plants so that they could also start growing some of those foods. And then that then improves people's nutrition because they can be eating more than just rice, corn, and beans, and it gives them some extra vitamins and an extra source of food. When talking to people there, we often would ask, what is it that we can do when we go back to Canada? And like what can we take back with us, and what do you want us to do with what we've learned from you? And people often would say, just tell our stories. We want to know that our stories have been heard and that people in North America are hearing our stories.